Hello, everyone. I would like to summarize a workshop worked on about recovery in Syria. The purpose of this workshop was to talk about the terms of recovery on the one hand and to practice English related to these vocabulary, these sets of vocabulary on the other hand. We started, the first session was about general terms, let's say. Mr. Mohammed Abu Shara talked about Sendai framework, which is supposed to cover the period from 2015 to 2030. And the main concern is disaster risk reduction. What should be done to have less casualties, less losses, and such things. Then I talked about one important idea to me focused on, which is building back better. That is like when you have a problem, you should build back better, not just aim to go back to normal. Because if you go back to normal, you are going back to the situation which created the problem in the first place. And Dr. Salah Haj Ismail talked about reconstruction and rehabilitation from an Islamic perspective, how we should have some frameworks related to this issue. In fact, it seems we don't have so far. We had another session where we had some brainstorming with the attendees. So everyone talked about what you could understand. And before we had, I had some short videos talking about important terms for people who couldn't attend the workshop. So we discussed the videos, we discussed the previous session of the workshop, and after that, the students started working on some projects that are supposed to be on the third stage of recovery, which is building back better, let's say. Not the first stage, which is like emergency case when you have a problem, not the second stage. In fact, we had an example of about the second stage by Fatma Darwish. She is working on women protection project, and we discussed if this project is more like a suitable for the first stage, second stage, or third stage. It was a good example when we talk about the details of a project. So, like people who don't have an idea how to change an idea into a project, this example was really helpful. She presented, thanks to her. And then we had many examples, for example, or many projects. Fatima Nina worked on a project about university education, how to choose your specialization, not only to be based on materialistic point of view, let's say, how to decide on it based on the needs of the society. This is somehow Islamic, let's say. She tried to apply that. And she had some details about the project. So, like, she decided that it would take 3 weeks and how many sessions and how it will be conducted, how many students will attend it, what is the importance of the project. So it was a good example, I think. Another example was by Fatima Sulaiman. Um, in fact, I mixed things. Fatima Sulaiman talked about that project, which is about university education, whereas Khairia talked about having a statistics, let's say, research center. And she started working on that. Later, she discovered that she can't build up the details of the project because she's not specialist. And this was a very important, let's say, learned lesson that the scope of interest should be the same of the scope of effect, let's say. She didn't have enough background about that, although the project is very important to have accurate statistics about, for example, everything in Syria. That would help a lot in building back better, let's say, or in any recovery process. Anyway, that was a learned lesson, as I said, because if you don't have enough background information about a project, you can't build it, you can't work on it anyway. We had another project by Hiba. It was about how to focus on successful Hiba Ghanam, how to focus on successful projects. Unfortunately, she couldn't have the chance to discuss the details of the project with everyone in the workshop, but it was something useful so that you can have a look at the successful projects and try to duplicate them. That would be very useful. There is an idea I would like to mention. It was in the brainstorming, in fact, session, in the second session. It was something related to Kusai. He's very qualified nurse. He worked in Aleppo in the worst situation, let's say, and he had a very good experience. But once he was displaced from Aleppo, he couldn't find a good work opportunity, let's say. And he's even studying English. He's about to finish studying English literature. And this is a very big problem we are suffering from, that you have very qualified people, but they don't have a job that suits them, or they don't find a job at all. This is mainly because of displacement. You lose your connections when you get displaced. You go to a different environment and you find it very difficult to start all over again building this web app connection. So one suggestion was to have to have a project about enabling such people to find their to find a job or to find a place that suits them, so that they can make use uh, of their skills and their experience on the one hand, and the society can make use of their skills and experience. So this was an idea, but we didn't work on a project like details for it. The project details for it. So in general, this was what we talked about in the workshop. I hope that everyone who could participate in the workshop could have a better idea on how to change an idea into a project, like project management, let's say. Uh, that was all. Thank you.